Shabbat Shalom. This is the second week in the Hebrew month of Elul, and so we are in preparation for our high holidays as we are getting ready both physically and spiritually to embrace our high holidays, our holy days that are coming up in September. Each of us comes to the sanctuary with a different need. Some of us come to find companionship and love of community. Others come to grieve and mourn. Others come to fulfill an obligation or to celebrate something wonderful happening tonight, whether it's receiving a commentary or just coming to see old friends. Whatever our reason for being together in the sanctuary tonight, let us take a moment to breathe in the peace, the love, and the joy of Shabbat, to clear our minds and to be present at this holy and spiritual time. We come now to Shabbat, our time of joy, of rest, and of peace, and we begin our service with the singing of Tov Lehodot, which can be found in our prayer books, in our Sidurim, on page 10.
So this particular version of this prayer you got on a song sheet. It has English verses, and hopefully you will be able to join in. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. On this the day of days, my lips shall sing your praise, for I know that you will always be here surrounding me. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. My spirit takes release. I close my eyes in peace, and from my soul, heard far above, springs a song of love. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. I wish to understand the wonders of your hand, for all the blessings that are mine rise from your design. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon. Tov leodot l'Adonai, uzamer l'shimcha elyon.
It is my pleasure to invite forward to sanctify our Shabbat candles, Kathy Lees.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlek ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. Shabbat Shalom. We continue in our Sidurim, in our prayer book, with the singing of Lecha Dodi, which can be found on pages 20 and 21. When we get to the final stanza of Lecha Dodi, we will rise and face the rear of the sanctuary as if we're ceremonially welcoming the Sabbath bride into our midst. Invariably, somebody comes late, and when we turn around and face the back of the sanctuary and we see that person, it looks really bad. But please don't shame that person. They are not the Sabbath bride. They're just running a little late. So we continue on page 20 and 21.
Dodi, Likat Kala, Bene Shabbat, Lekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, Bene Shabbat, Lekavela. Shamor v'zachor v'diburecha. Adonai Echad, U'Shmo Echad, Hashem u'Tiferet v'Letila. Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Lekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, Shabbat, Lekavela. Boi v'shalom, ateret bala, gam v'simcha uv'sachola, toch emuneh am segula, boi chala. Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Lekavela. Lecha Dodi, Likat Kala, B'nei Shabbat, Lekavela.
We remain standing and turn to page 28 for our call to worship the Baruch Hu. Please be seated. We continue reading together on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim b'chokhmah poteach sha'arim uvitvuna mishane itim umachalif et hazmanim umsader et hakochavim b'mishmerotehem barakia kirtzonom borei yom v'layla golel or mipnei choshech vechoshech mipnei or uma'avir yom umevi laila umavdil bein yom uvein laila Adonai tzvaot shemo El chai v'kayam tamid yimloch aleinu leolam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim, on page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. We turn to page 34 and rise for the Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam, Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated as we continue chanting Ve'ahavta together on page 36.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
On page 39, let's read together at the top. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Continue on page 40 with Mi Chamocha.
Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh, noratehi lo rosei pele, noratehi lo rosei pele. Malchutecha u'banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, zelian u've'amu, zelian u've'amu. Adonai lo leolam ba'ed. Adonai lo leolam ba'ed. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la.
Last week, I had lunch with Ann Stein. Many of you know Ann Stein, our educator emerita, and we were talking about, amongst many other things, her fond memories for when she led family trips to Israel. And I asked her, I said, what is your favorite memory? And she described to me a memory that I think many of us who have been on Israel trips may have had, where she was with her group and they were out in the desert, and their guide took them out, and they weren't allowed to have flashlights, and there were no city lights because this is truly the wilderness, the desert. And he took them out far enough that there was nothing around, and he had them just lay down and look up at the sky. And when you looked up at the sky, as Anne described it, and I have the same image in my head, you just see thousands or millions of stars. It's all that you can see, nothing else. And when I think about our next prayer, Hashkivenu, that is what I think about, the shelter of peace, what is over us, and what does it mean to look up at the stars and know that there is something greater around us, and know that there is a presence, that God's presence is there when we lay in the desert, when we're in our sanctuary, when we are in our beds at home, or anywhere else we might be. And so we continue now with singing Hashkivenu on page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom B'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom B'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom B'amidenu shomrenu l'chaim.
We have a special set of prayers that we say to remember that Shabbat is Shabbat, to remind ourselves. We all of us know that it's Shabbat because we've made the conscious choice to be here and to celebrate Shabbat together. And even with us making that conscious choice to be here, we still have a prayer that reminds us it is indeed Shabbat. One of those prayers is Vishamru. The other choice that we have is to sing Yismechu. And so tonight we are going to sing Yismechu, this song that tells us, this prayer that tells us those who keep Shabbat by calling it a delight will rejoice in your realm. And certainly we will all rejoice together as we sing Yismechu on page 44.
Yismechu, Yismechu, v'malechutecha Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat, Yismechu v'malechutecha, Yismechu v'malechutecha, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat, Shomrei Shabbat, V'korei oneg Shabbat.
We come now to our congregational tefillah, which can be found in our Sidurim on page 46. Will the congregation please rise?
Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Adonai sefatai tiftachu fi tehillatcha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor v'Hanorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh HaKol, V'zocher Chasdei Avot V'imavot, U'mevi Geula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ve'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Metim atah Rav Lehoshia, Morid Hatal, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Metim Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim Verofeh Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem emunato lishenei afar, michamocha ba'al gevurot, umidomelach, melech memid umechayeh, umatzmiach Yeshua, v'ne'eman atah l'chayot metim. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh hametim. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, u'kadoshim b'kol yom yehalelucha selah. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Please be seated. We continue on the top of page 55. Let's read responsively. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh HaShabbat. We continue on page 60. Grant abundant peace to Israel, your people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. May all of us be blessed with peace, and let's take a moment to meditate on the healing of peace. we continue on page 62 with the singing of Oseh Shalom.
Oseh Shalom. Oseh Shalom, Im Romav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Hallelujah. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. May the one who makes peace bring peace down, bring peace down. Oseh Shalom, Im Romav, Oseh Shalom, Im Romav, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Hu Yaseh Shalom, Hu Yaseh Shalom. Hallelujah.
We continue now with Seder Kriyat HaTorah, our Torah service. Please rise.
Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Halam Omer, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Halam Omer, HaTorah Me'al Avodah Me'al Gemilut Chasadim, HaTorah Me'al Avodah Me'al Gemilut Chasadim, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachtavu le'har kosho, Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachtavu le'har kosho, Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu, Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Please be seated. This evening, we are in the book of Deuteronomy. The Torah portion is Ki Teitzei. We are very, very, very close to the end of Deuteronomy, which Jessie will show us in just a few minutes when she lifts the Torah. In this section of Torah, Moses reviews a wide variety of laws regarding family, animals, and property. Various civil and criminal laws are delineated, as well as laws about commerce pertaining to loans, fair wages, proper weights and measurements. The Parsha concludes, most importantly, with the Amalek's killing of the old, the weak, and the infirm after the Israelites left Egypt. If you would like to follow along with our Torah reading tonight, you can do so in our maroon chumashim. Those are the books either in front of you, the big maroon books. We are on page 1115. One of the blessings that we have is that we get to call people up for an aliyah, and sometimes we call people up for an aliyah because we want to honor them. And sometimes not only do we want to honor them, but we want to celebrate something really amazing that happened in someone's life. And so the person who we are going to call up just became a grandmother in a really amazing, amazing way. Ta'amor Chana Shena bat David v'Rivka la'aliyah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Lo tire et shor achicha, o et seyu nidachem vehita lamta mehem, hashev tashivehem la'achicha. V'im lo karov achicha elav, velo yadato, ve'asavto et toch betecha, v'haya amcha ad derosh achicha, oto v'hashevoto lo chen ta'aseh l'chamoro, v'chein ta'aseh l'simlato, v'chein ta'aseh l'chol avadat achicha, asher ta'avod mimenu, sa'ata lo tuchal lehitalam.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Stay up here for 1 second. So when something amazing happens, the words that we say are mazel tov. So I'd love to invite everybody to, on the count of 3, to say mazel tov to Sharon on becoming a grandmother. 1, 2, 3. Mazel tov.
Thank you, thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, everyone.
At this time in our worship service, our thoughts turn to those who's in our community and family who are ill and in need of healing. We think this evening of Rabbi Bruce Goldwasser, Rabbi Fred Wanger, Arnold Zahn, James Koenig, Nilish Mehta, John Eulenberg, Timothy Piggott, Ann Cantor, Jeff Williams, Karen Malcolm, Sonia Maria Reimar Miller, Carol Pretnar, Denise Fleischer, Clara Williams, Frederick Bryan, Rachel Basio, Chris Novak, Gershon Ben David, Ricardo Rodriguez, Cindy Walton, Sarabelle Stoll, and Rachel Margolis. And we also keep in our hearts all who suffer, whom we know not by name. Misha Berach, Avotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, V'Yaakov, V'imotenu, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, V'Leah, Hu Yivarech V'Yirapeh et Kol Cholei Yisrael, V'Yishlach Lahem Bimheira, Refuah Shlema, Refuah Tanefesh, Refuah Taguf, V'Nomar, Amen. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bless and heal all who are stricken. May the Holy One of Praise mercifully restore them to health and to vigor. May God grant them health of body, health of spirit, and of mind. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mikor Abraham lamotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
The B'nai Mitzvah process starts a year in advance of the student's date. Even though students don't meet with me until about 9 months before their date, families begin to wake up to the fact that this is really happening when their kids become eligible to sign in a year before their special date for their required services. Tonight, we have a special opportunity to publicly begin 2 students on their B'nai Mitzvah journeys. It is my pleasure to invite Asher Kuntz and Aileen Plotnick-Anderson to the Bima officially to begin the countdown to their B'nai Mitzvah. Asher, you'll stand here in a year from now, the night before you become a B'nai Mitzvah. Aileen, you have about 50 weeks before you become a Bat Mitzvah with the Torah portion Ve'et Hanan. We want to give you these JPS Torah commentaries. Oops, wrong one, sorry. To use over the next year and even beyond that to become more familiar with the Torah portion in preparation for your big days next year. And like I said earlier, you can now start signing in for every service you attend, because every service you come to from now on will count towards the 13 required services. So you can see me or Rabbi Koznowski after the service, so you can officially sign in for tonight's service.
And so we link tradition and Torah together, building and strengthening our Jewish community. So if there's anyone else who has Ki Teitzei as their B'nai Mitzvah portion, anybody else here had Ki? How about Ve'et Hanan? All right, well, I was going to invite you up to the Bima for a special blessing like Asher and Ellen have. And so we are going to stand as I convey upon them the threefold priestly benediction, which I will give to them as well at their B'nai Mitzvah. Yeverechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ya'er Adonai panav elecha vaykuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha vayasem lecha shalom, vayasem lecha shalom. May God bless you and keep you. May God be kind and gracious unto you. May God's countenance be lifted up unto you and grant you the most precious gift of peace. You can go sit back in your seats. Okay. And we continue staying standing for Hagbah.
Ta'amod Shirarina Eliana bat Leah va'Adam Hagba. Ta'amod Lilit bat Chanina va'Alex Golelet.
V'zot ha'Torah asher sam Moshe libnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe.
Please be seated. It is my pleasure to invite up Charlie Sherman to lead us in our prayer for the country on 258, followed by Simon Ellis to lead us in our prayer for Israel on page 259.
O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love. Spread it over the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there.
Please rise as we return the Torah to the Ark.
Chaim hi lamachazikim ba etom checha meushar dirachecha darkenu am ekol netivotecha shalom. Hashimenu Adonai Echad Nashua Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
Please be seated.
A few years ago, I went to Mexico to perform a wedding for Paul Benario and his bride Jamie. And it was an incredible weekend. Beautiful weather, beautiful people, beautiful bride. It was a great experience, mostly because it happened during COVID and nothing else was going on, and I hadn't been out of the house, let alone out of the country, for what felt like a really long time. And although we had to take precautions, we had to get tested to go home, I finally made it back to the airport, and I walked around until my plane was about to depart. And while I was in the terminal, I was, playing Pokemon and, walking around, window shopping because nothing was open. I happened to look down, and I found something very precious on the ground. Anybody know what it was? It was somebody's vaccination card. Now, back then, you actually had to have that in order to get back into the country. So this was a very precious object, and it was in a handy-dandy laminated pouch. So I knew it was important because that's, you had to present it to go anywhere. If you wanted to go to a restaurant in Cook County, you had to have your vaccination card. But my first thought, just so you know, in case you thought, oh, the rabbi's so holy, my first thought, my yetzer hara, my evil inclination was, how much can I get for this on the black market? I had to share that with you. I have to work really hard not to act on them, but I do have them. But the second thought that I had actually came from this week's Torah portion, which is the commandment that you have to return lost objects to its rightful owner, even if it costs you convenience or even money to do so. The commandment that Rabbi Weiner read is if you see your fellow Israelites' ox or sheep gone astray, you don't ignore it. You have to take it back to your peer. The commandment goes on to say that you can't leave a lost object. You have to seek to find its owner, and you can't remain indifferent to it. This commandment is so important that it's not only given in the Torah, But in traditional Judaism, it's found in the tractate of Talmud that is one of the first chapters that's taught to a child. The teaching is that there's this mitzvah to returning lost objects, and the mitzvah or commandment extends even to help people avoid loss of their property due to floods or natural disasters. The Talmud bases the obligation on the phrase, "So too shall you do with anything that your brother loses." And here's the craziest part. You even have to return something, a lost object, to your enemy, somebody that you hate. And that takes some serious spiritual fortitude. But that's our job. And you can't shirk your duty, because if you do, it runs counter to what the Torah and the Talmud tell us to do. There's an anecdote found in the Jerusalem Talmud, and we learn that Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach, his students bought a donkey from an Ishmaelite for the rabbi. And when the rabbi opened, there was a pouch on the donkey's neck, he discovered a precious gemstone. And Rabbi Shimon had to go and find that Ishmaelite from whom his students had bought the donkey and return that gemstone. Now, if Rabbi Shimon ben Shetach can do that, certainly I could return this very precious vaccine card back to its owner. But the problem was, I didn't know where to find the guy. I'm in Cancun. I couldn't just go to the open information area because it was during COVID after all. There was nobody who could make an announcement. I didn't speak Spanish, and I didn't have an email or phone number. So I went through all my resources. I said, well, maybe I can find this guy on Facebook. No, he wasn't on Facebook. Okay, so maybe then I thought, well, I'll just drop it back where I found it. No, I'm not allowed to do that because the Torah says that I'm obligated, that I have to find this guy. And thankfully, I had a few moments because my flight wasn't leaving for another hour or two. So for centuries, the rabbis have been debating the logic of this commandment. Did we help the animal that was on the side of the road for the animal? Or did we help the animal on the side of the road for the welfare of the person who had lost the object, knowing that they would be distressed if they were down an animal, and they'd be walking around looking for it? Or maybe this guy was looking for his vaccine card. Maybe he didn't even know he'd lost it. Maimonides asserts that you should do something for someone else what you would want done for you if you were in a similar situation. So Maimonides encourages us to go beyond the limits of the law, meaning a prince is obligated to help even a common person. You have to go out of your way to help another, again, even if that person is your enemy. In marketing, when someone is trying to sell something to someone, they're instructed to use something that's known as social proof or social credibility. When someone that we know has done something or has bought a product, it makes us more inclined to trust the product or service because a friend has bought it. And that's why Amazon relies so heavily on its reviews, and Facebook uses likes or suggestions of your friends. And this is known in sociology or sociology circles as social capital, which has nothing to do with money, and it's all about trust within a society. So if you're going to have any kind of community that has your welfare at heart, and we have to have people who will return your property. It's an essential component. So I had to find this poor guy and return his vaccine card before his flight took off, because I wanted to help create that society where someone would do the right thing for the right reason without expecting any reward. So I turned to LinkedIn, and voila, there he was. But there was a problem. You see, I was not related to him on any level. He was a molecular biologist, and I'm a rabbi. I didn't know him. I had no connections to anyone who knew him. The only way for me to reach him was I had to pay for LinkedIn Premium, which I didn't want and I didn't need. But it was the right thing to do. So I did it, and I joined LinkedIn Premium, and I emailed him, and I said, I found your vaccine card at gate 15 in the Cancun airport. I'm here for another 2 hours. You can call me or text me. I promise I'm not a creepy stalker. And once it's returned to you, I will delete your information. He texted me 5 minutes later, and we met at the food court. He was very nervous and also very grateful. He offered to pay me, and I refused it. And I explained I was Jewish, and this was a commandment that I had to return, and he was very not interested in my explanation and only cared that he had his card back and that it was not sold to the highest bidder on the black market and that I wasn't creepy and stalking him. But for me, I got to do a mitzvah, and sure, it cost me a month of premium on LinkedIn, but it was a small price to pay for the ability to fill a Jewish commandment, and I got to do something for another person for fun and for free, and hey, I got a great sermon out of it. William Wordsworth said, "The best portion of a good man's life is his little nameless, unremembered acts of kindness and of love." May we always seek to do kind acts for others, especially when we can return lost objects, or even better, when we can return hope to the hopeless. And in this way, we continue to be partners with God in the ongoing tikkun, the healing of the world. May this be God's will. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everyone. I'm Lisa Popowski, and I have some announcements for you. Thank you to our usher, Dubrovka Uraga, our greeter, Rachel Wood, and our security team. Thank you to Cindy for the music. Mazel tov to Asher and Ellen on receiving their Torah commentaries. Join us for a double dose of food on Sunday. Bagel breakfast is back on Sunday, sponsored by the rabbis, so you know it will be good. And our congregational barbecue, sponsored by Brotherhood, will start around noon. Come out for a heaping helping of great food and community. Our annual Selichotapalooza celebration is Saturday, September 9th. Food, fun, drinks, and learning for those who prefer. A Selichot service with our first shofar blast of the season will follow the festival. High holiday registration is open. Register and learn more about our high holiday services and programs at mycec.org/HH. For more information on upcoming events, check out our weekly happenings email. And please join us after services for a wonderful oneg in the social hall. Shabbat shalom.
As we prepare to begin our concluding prayers, it is my pleasure to invite anyone to the Bima who has not had a B'nai Mitzvah yet. So anyone who has not had B'nai Mitzvah, this is your cue to come on down and to help me open the ark. You don't have to. It's no pressure, but a little pressure, a little tiny bit of pressure. Join Scott in come on down. Oh, Eric, thank you. Good. All right, see? Rock on. Oh, I'm loving this. Okay, so we continue on page 200. Oh, Cindy, thank you. Yay. Page 200. And Elise, come on down. This is fun. Oh, and wow. I have started something here. It is. It's fun. We're going to continue on the bottom of page 282 with Aleinu. Come on up, you guys. Come on down. Open the ark together. Who's going to take the other side? Put it sideways. Okay, everybody come forward.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Please be seated. We continue on the top of page 287. May we gain wisdom in our lives, overflowing like a river with understanding. Loved each of us for the peace we bring to others. May our deeds exceed our speech, and may we never lift up our hand but to conquer fear and doubt and despair. Let's read together. Rise up like the sun, O God, over all humanity. Cause light to go forth over all the lands between the seas, and light up the universe with the joy of wholeness, of freedom, and of peace.
ונאמר אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. ונאמר אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
We come now in our worship service to those who have departed this earth and those whose yortzeit we remember at this time in years past. We recall with love Leon Schachtman, father of Carol Ban, Nathan Krasno, father of Eugene Krasno, Harry Rosen, uncle of Judy Stein, Aaron Pilsner, father of Helene Frankfeder, Clarice Lifson, mother of Lawrence Lifson, Muriel Richman, mother of Linda Richman, Daniel Schoenberg, husband of Susan Schoenberg, father of Max Schoenberg, grandfather of Stanley and Calvin Schoenberg, Meyer Zunder, uncle of Stephen Kapp, Irene Farr, mother of Gail Farr, Karen Honig, mother of Robert Honig, Ruth Jacobson, grandmother of Robert Honig, Jean Sawyer, mother of Michael Sawyer, Irene Mary Karwowski, grandmother of Jessica Wills, Eugene D. Steinman, cousin of Barry Ehrlich, Robert Fishman, uncle of Sherry Kaiser, Jordan Frank, father of Judith Lerner, Lucille Jaffe, mother of Judith Pulko, Elliot Zidell, father of Jeff Zidell, Samalia Sarku, mother of Moni Sarku, Stanley Trockman, father of Brett Trockman, Dorothy Lipson, aunt of Catherine Lease, Estelle Finnick, mother of Robin Summers, grandmother of Billy and Lauren Summers, Bill Van Dyke, father of Scott Van Dyke, grandfather of Esther Ayla and Robert Van Dyke, Fradell C. Jean, aunt of Lynn Whippich, Kenneth Harris, stepfather of Kenya Madison Gabler, Florence Stoller, mother of Seymour Stoller, grandmother of Michael Stoller, Bertha Gutenstein, Maurice Gordoni, Harriet Bild. We also mourn the recent passing of Ray Colassa, stepfather of Martha Titiner, step-grandfather of Sophia Titiner. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as together we recite Kaddish Yatom, the Mourner's Kaddish, which can be found in our prayer book on page 294. Will the congregation please rise? Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agalal uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach leolam ulmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudasha b'richu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush bechata v'nechemata Da'amiran bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom bimromav hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
V'imru, amen. V'imru, amen. V'imru, amen. V'imru, amen.
Please be seated. We conclude tonight with Zeh Hayom. Is it on the song sheet?
276.
It's on page 276. Very good. And this is, there's some repeat after Cindy, so I will lead the repeat part. So if you're not sure what to do, just follow along with Cindy and with me.
Zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
asa Adonai. Zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
asa Adonai. Nagila,
Nagila,
v'nismecha,
v'nismecha,
Nagila, v'nismecha bo. Nagila,
Nagila,
v'nismecha,
v'nismecha,
Nagila, v'nismecha bo. Zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
asa Adonai. Zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
zeh hayom,
Zeh Hayom,
asa Adonai.
We join together in Kiddush. If you would like to follow along, the words are on page 5. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu. V'shabbat kodsho, ve'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'ase v'reishit, ki hu yom tehila lemikra'e kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki banu v'charta, Ve'otanu kidasha mikol hamim, v'shabbat kodshecha, b'yahava uvratzon, hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh ha-shabbat.
Amen.
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'te'avon.
May you all be blessed. May we always remember to return lost objects, and may we always remember as we come together in preparation for high holidays to return home. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.